welcome you with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the headlines. Sensex falls 304 points in volatile trade, Nifty below 17,250. Power, metals shine, auto stocks drag. Oil marketing companies hike prices of petrol-diesel by 80 paise for second day in a row. According to Crystal Research, a hike of 15 to 20 rupees per litre is required to fully pass the increase in international oil prices. Income Tax Department conducts raids at Hero MotoCorp premises and Chairman Pavan Munjal's residence. Company confirms it was a routine inquiry and reassures all their stakeholders that it continues to be business as usual. India achieved its highest ever goods export target of $400 billion for the first time. Prime Minister Modi tweets that the target achieved 9 days ahead of schedule. Sri Lankan refugees start trickling into Tamil Nadu amid country's worst economic meltdown. Sri Lankan government ordered troops at gas stations amid shortage. People grappling with electricity blackouts and shortage of essential goods, leading to massive protests. After starting the day on a positive note, markets failed to sustain momentum. Losses in financials, IT and auto shares pulled both indices lower, though gains in oil and gas and metal stocks lent some support. Sensex shut shop 304 points lower, tumbling from the 58,000 mark, Nifty ending below 17,300. Sectorally, Nifty, auto, financial services, some of the top laggards in trade. On the other hand, the metal gate jumped over 1%. HDFC, Kotak Bank, Bharti Airtel, Britannia, Sun Pharma, some of the major draggers today, falling between 1.7 to 2.6%. On the contrary, pharma and metal stocks made it to the winners list. Divi's Labs, Hindalco, Dr. Reddy's Lab, Tata Steel and UPL, the top gainers in trade. Fuel prices back to haunt the common man. Petrol and diesel prices were hiked by 80 paise per litre for the second consecutive day. Oil companies have started to pass on the sharp increase in international crude oil prices to consumers. Since early November, crude oil has become about 40% costlier, but the hike is short of the rise needed for fuel retailers to break even. According to CRISIL, a hike of 15 to 20 rupees per litre is required to fully pass through a $30 per barrel increase in the cost of crude oil. Meanwhile, shares of public sector oil marketing companies were buoyant in trade on the back of that fuel price hike. Hero Motor slipped in trade after the Income Tax Department conducted search operations on 25 premises of the country's largest two-wheeler manufacturer. These premises include offices, residences of senior management, including Chairman and Chief Executive Pavan Munjal's office and residence as well. Although Hero MotoCorp called searches a routine inquiry and said that such searches are not uncommon before the end of the financial year. Indian Hotels surged 3% in trade as the company is set to launch its 2,000 crore rupee QIP, the aim being to bolster its business expansion on the other side of the pandemic. As per reports, Credit Suisse and ICICI Securities are helping the company raise money. The floor price is set at about 203 rupees. The board is scheduled to meet on Friday to approve the issue price. The company also plans to raise up to 2,000 crore rupees by way of a rights issue. On the back of the news, IHCL stock surged over 3% in trade today. In a significant move, India has for the first time crossed the crucial threshold of $400 billion in annual merchandise export. This also represents the first time that the government's annual export targets have been fulfilled since 2014. A massive rise in oil prices, across the board uptick in global prices of industrial commodities, a resurgent agri sector and a higher share of manufactured goods are the main reasons behind India reaching the government's annual export target. So, hailing the country's success in achieving its goods export target of $400 billion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserted that this is a key milestone in India's Atmanirbhar Bharat journey. Sri Lanka facing its worst ever economic crisis. Electricity blackouts and shortage of essential goods have led to massive protests, and Sri Lankans have started seeking refuge in India. Petroleum prices have skyrocketed amid the country's foreign exchange crisis. The country's tourism sector, the primary source of foreign exchange, dried up during the COVID pandemic, and reckless borrowing from China to finance infrastructure projects has caused its debts to spiral. India has this month announced a $1 billion line of credit to Sri Lanka for procurement of food, medicine and other essential items. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is now a month old and the fight continues to rage on. While there is so much death and devastation across Ukraine, how is life in Russia, particularly the banking and financial sector? India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan brings us this report from on ground in Moscow.
With Russia's ties to the global financial system being choked, how is the ordinary Russian managing?
You bank with the Russian bank, and you're able to take out money?
No.
Can you withdraw money when you want to?
Yes.
And using cards, is using cards a problem?
Apple Pay is problem, but we have plastic cards.
Oh, you have plastic cards that you can use as currency?
Yes.
Only a handful of international banks are still operating in Russia, including the Credit Europe Bank, Raiffeisen Bank and Alpha Bank.
This is the Credit Europe Bank that has not shut operations. Raiffeisen Bank, which is one of the biggest banks operating in Russia, is called a Russian bank, but the parent company is Austrian, still functioning here in Moscow, in Russia, and many other banks, including Russia Bank, are operating. People are being able to withdraw money. There are problems with using cards, but they have been using plastic cards, which is a form of digital currency and money.
So what is the impact of the curbs on the Russian banking system?
Western countries withdrew Russia from the SWIFT system. It will have implications on the foreign trade, but nowadays it has really minimal implications on the domestic currency exchanges. According to the fact that some Russian bankings imposed limits on currency exchanges, this might be a real problem for Russian population in the midterm, but nowadays we can witness that people are not facing the lack of foods in shops, and so basically it is okay.
Crippling economic and business sanctions that aim to cripple the Russian economy and isolate its financial system from the global business and trade order. Dozens of sanctions already in effect, and President Joe Biden and US allies contemplating more.
He will attend an emergency NATO summit, joined by the leaders of the other 29 NATO allies. He will have the opportunity to coordinate on the next phase of military assistance to Ukraine. He will join our partners in imposing further sanctions on Russia and tightening the existing sanctions to crack down on evasion and to ensure robust enforcement.
With Geeta Mohan in Moscow, Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
And here's what else is making news in the corporate world. Mortgage lender HDFC has approved retail home loans of over 2 lakh crore rupees in the current fiscal. This is the highest ever approval for such loans in a single financial year. The company saw demand for these loans from across the country. The company expects that increasing sales momentum and new project launches will lead to healthy growth for the housing sector. Beauty direct-to-home brand Plum has raised 270 crore rupees in a Series C round led by A91 partners. The fresh funding will be utilized in strengthening the brand's omni-channel presence, building new categories in addition to its core skincare category. Plum has raised over $50 million from consumer-focused institutional investors until now. Hiranandani Group continues to be under the IT lens. Income Tax Department continued its searches on the Hiranandani Group's Mumbai office and other properties for the second day. As per reports, the raids are being conducted in connection with the foreign assets case, in which the Hiranandani brothers have been accused of not disclosing their offshore investment in a trust. Bajaj Electricals was in focus in trade, surging over 2% after the company extended the trademark agreement with Morphy Richards. Bajaj Electricals will now be able to use Morphy Richards' trademark for 15 more years. The company can also use the trademark for producing, marketing and selling Morphy Richards home appliances. Let's take a very quick break. We'll be back with more on the other side.
प्राचीन भारतीय कलाकृतियों को लौटाने की पहल के लिए मैं आपको विशेष रूप से धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं। और आपने जो कलाकृतियां भेजी हैं, इनमें राजस्थान, पश्चिम बंगाल, गुजरात, हिमाचल प्रदेश, इसके साथ कई अन्य भारतीय राज्यों में से अवैध तरीके से निकाली गई सैकड़ों वर्ष पुरानी मूर्तियां और चित्र है। और इसके लिए मैं सभी भारतवासियों की तरफ से आपका विशेष आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
Three weeks and peace is still a distant dream in Ukraine.
Welcome back. You're with us here on Business Today. The crypto craze has gripped many in India, but in the wake of no regulation, is India being left behind in the tech evolution? What's making the government nervous about cryptos? A stellar panel of experts at the Business Today Crypto Conclave talk about the benefits and future of cryptos. Listen in to Dr. Subhash Garg, Rajneesh Kumar and Cyril Shroff.
Sir, the post-Ukraine world has seen a trend towards an accelerated acceptance of crypto, at least not in the sense that we knew it. And given that backdrop, what are the lessons that you would like to drive as far as India is concerned?
So, as far as crypto is concerned, it's a very, I have mentioned it earlier also, it is an animal which everybody is trying to still understand and figure it out what it is. And people have not been able to figure it out as yet. Whether it is the judicial systems across the world or governments across the world or the central banks. And that is why what you mentioned, that American president saying, please explain what it is and how will you go about it. But this is a fact that we are moving into a world which is entirely different than what we are used to. And when we try to define this world, we see it from traditional lens. And we try to fix that puzzle from the traditional sense that what will be the role of the banking system. Because currency or any asset means that you have to have traditional bank. But in the world of crypto, whether you need that or not need that, we are talking about metaverse, where the medium of exchange would be only crypto.
Mr. Shroff, I want to come in because I'll go to the policymaker last, Mr. Garg, so that you can answer some of the other points. Mr. Shroff, how important is it for India to manage its strategy as far as this evolving world is concerned? There's been an announcement for a central bank digital currency. There has been some talk of a regulatory framework, but you know that it's still evolutionary in nature.
So I think it's, of course, very important. And anecdotally, a lot of investors in India are already in this asset. So there is already enough stake in India in this space already. So what are our options? Our options are to have no regulation, good regulation, or bad regulation. There's no fourth option. And I think if we leave it unregulated, we are probably setting ourselves up for a major crisis. And at that stage, people will look back in hindsight and ask, why didn't we regulate this, or why couldn't we see this coming? So in my view, the direction that India should take is firstly become more and more familiar with the issue. As Rajneesh ji said, frankly, nobody understands this yet. It's a bit like Six Blind Men and the Elephant, that the whole world is trying to figure out what this new technology and this new system means. So increase our awareness of this and start the process of thinking through what should be the regulatory framework. And the recent Biden order of 9th March, I think is a great trend, because US does take leadership of some of these issues. And it's a great step that the US has put forward this group. And if you look at the composition of the group, it's from 23 ministries or 23 posts. And it's not just finance. Finance is just one of them. They put in national security. They put all sorts of members into it.
Absolutely.
It just shows that it has got such universal importance that, and we need to think of, as India, we need to think about it in the same way as well. So we could either wait for the US to figure it out, or we can start our journey, and I would vote for the latter.
Rajneesh ji, has the policy establishment taken a futures contract on crypto policy?
No. Let me tell you what is my understanding of the situation. Yeah. I may be wrong. Crypto is the buzzword for the new age economy. It is a world. Crypto is not defined by national boundaries. Let us understand it. When you talk about CBDC, RBI currency, we are again trying to protect our turf and define it in national boundaries, whereas crypto is very international.
Right.
So one is without international cooperation and everybody sitting together. It's very difficult to have a proper framework. That is one. And in the world or in the universe, which is of e-commerce and metaverse, which does not fit into your physical boundaries, then whether your fiat currency like dollar will continue to hold sway and remain a reserve currency for the world, that also I have my doubt. So I will bet, it's not any inducement to anybody, that I won't be surprised in next 10 years you see crypto as a currency of international transactions.
Okay, that's certainly a headline from the former SBI Chairman. I'm wrapping up this discussion. My final point to you, sir, in the minute or so that I have. A lot of observers post the US President's announcement have said that they expect the American CBDC, whatever its shape and size be, to be a game changer. Will the RBI's equivalent be a game changer as far as our financial system is concerned, and intermediation and costs?
So the moment the e-dollars or digital dollar comes in, I think dollar will retain the primacy which it has today in the international payment system. The digital rupee, whenever it comes, will have a very small role to play, because rupee is not an international currency. So digital rupee will also play the role only domestically. And today 97% of the payments are digital in any case. So what is remaining 2, 3, 4, 5% is what is aimed to be converted into digital payments by this digital currency. So it's not going to be a game changer.
The NFT craze has taken Indians by storm. While the 7-year-old blockchain asset arrived late to the party, it's come with a bang. Celebrities and brands are jumping on the NFT bandwagon. So what's so special about this blockchain asset? How are NFTs different from cryptos? At the Business Today Crypto Conclave, NFT gurus explain. Listen into an excerpt.
I want to first understand, for those who may not fully be familiar with the concept, what an NFT exactly is, how it's stored on the cloud, the concept of digital scarcity, and what makes them so valuable. Why don't we start off with you?
Sure. So we've talked a lot about cryptocurrencies today. NFTs are also tokens on the same technology, the same blockchains. The difference being here, you're talking about assets which are non-fungible. NFT is non-fungible token. What it means is each unit is discrete. Each unit is independently identifiable. So the first one and the second one, I mean, they don't look the same, they don't feel the same. So it's in a way, the way crypto would be an equivalent of money, an NFT could be the equivalent of your house, right, which is an asset. So, I mean, many times what happens is, as a consequence, people end up comparing the two. I think there are two different components of the same blockchain ecosystem, but have very different users as a consequence. Now you have a house which is residential, whereas you have money which is to make payments. And those differences we'll talk more about as the session progresses. But would love to, I'm sure everybody's got this question many, many times in many sessions.
No, and I'd love to get all of your take on it. I mean, there's a question around, again, whether it's a speculative asset. I mean, we know from Big B to Salman Khan, Sonu Sood, they've seen phenomenal response to their NFT collections. But is it still something that's limited to a select few, to the inner circle? What about an artist who just, a regular artist or creative person who also wants to use these tokens? What is the kind of opportunity for them?
No, obviously it's not restricted to a celebrity because most of the NFTs out there has been launched by people who have been a nobody before, right? And they've shot to fame thanks to NFT. Like even with people or when he just started, he said a guy from Thailand just took a selfie and then he made $1 million, right? So it is pretty much open to anyone because it's decentralized. Anyone can go ahead and launch NFTs. And if your content is interesting enough and what you create is interesting enough and it makes value, NFTs really do well for them. And it's been the same in India and across the globe as well. Yeah.
I think it's been 2 years, since we start hearing NFTs in India. Of course, it has been 5 years, 5 years easily in the West. But I think since he talked about the utility, I think the tickets of this event could have been an NFT, and maybe 50 tickets could have been sold as an NFT, which have been traded in the open market in a peer-to-peer model, where the transactions must be happening between the India Today group and the buyer directly. No mediator, no intermediary. And of course, these tickets could have been premium tickets on the front table, and these might have been auctioned. So remember, these are the utility, and the more the utilities people are actually going to try, the more people will start understanding this with a simple language. Of course, industry like this will require entrepreneur like us actually working on simplifying the words and making things very simple, easy to understand, so that people can start using it in a day-to-day life. Of course, it might take time, and obviously the bridge between the Web 3.0 and Web 2.0 is something that is currently being built. And once it is ready, trust me, every one of you will be using NFTs in a day-to-day life, and you might not be even knowing it. That will be happening very soon.
All right. With that, yeah, go on.
Can I just wanted to add? Even the government can benefit a lot from NFTs. I think we missed that point. I want to add on to that. Now imagine, in India, museums are in a very bad shape at present. Who goes to museum? No one. So museum can be put on decentralized land, and all those articles of the museum can be made NFTs, and that can be put on decentralized land. Government can buy a land on decentralized land, can open their museum, put all those articles of India on that museum. We can make NFTs of all the monuments we have, and we can create those NFTs, and we can actually create an NFT of Taj Mahal, and just imagine what hype it will have. And Taj Mahal can be bought as an NFT without giving the ownership right of the Taj Mahal, obviously. Now people can visit Taj Mahal, Lal Killa in the metaverse. So imagine in the country today, we only get 300 crores from all these monuments, from tourism. Imagine if we put all these monuments on metaverse through NFTs, we can earn another 300 crores in there.
And that's where we leave it on the show today. Thanks so much for watching.
By the grace of my Guruji, I have no desire, no disease, no depression, no tension, no hypertension. At the age of 6, as directed by my Guruji, I went home and I found that my sister died without food. After 7 days, my mother expired before sunrise. After sunrise, my father expired. My father, mother, sister used to beg from door to door for their livelihood. At the age of 6, I was thinking everybody is running after money, taking education only to earn money. But I was thinking how to lead a holy life, how to enjoy the blessing of God. Our lifestyle is totally defective. That's why we are suffering from many complicated diseases that take oily food. That's why they are suffering. Oil should be avoided as far as possible.
Watching India Today.